I've seen the first 2 episodes so far.
Oh,
and
great.
It's very compelling, very powerful. The message, the political conspiracy, the big drama behind it. But what really stood out for me is that Anna Farrell's character, Sergeant Adele Ballard. She is in a special ops unit, the only female sergeant, and something that a lot of women in military aren't able to actually access or do.
Right.
I think the last film that really kind of highlighted a female in that type of SEAL, is like G.I. Jane.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I really like the aspect of Anna Farrell's character being not just a mom and a wife, but being a soldier, fighting for her country.
Yeah.
So what drew you to produce this and casting the characters and stuff, because this is a tough character to play.
Sure is.
Very
sure
tough.
is. It's all credit goes to Anna Farrell. Honestly, she's amazing.
Fantastic.
She's just fantastic. A wonderful actress. And she knew what she was getting into because we had written a lot of them before we cast anyone. So she knew the kind of ardor the part is going to she would have to endure. But she was a brave soldier, literally. She trained. She got stronger because when she came to us, she's a small lady. She's diminutive. But she. I remember when we were in Morocco, she used to show me her muscles. She was like, "Look at me." She's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, you're awesome."
Roll it up.
But she was really proud of what great shape she got into, and she kept it up the entire time. We had a trainer with her the entire time.
Well,
She is one tough cookie.
Yeah.
Well,
She just is.
She goes through a lot in just the second episode.
Sure, it
And
does.
she doesn't let up for a
It
while.
was tough to watch.
Yeah.
It was very grueling. So.
Yeah, it is, and it's we're trying to be as real as possible. We really are. We do a lot of research, and we're trying to present a world that sort of shows all sides. And so, as you'll watch the episodes, you're going to meet people, especially in the Muslim world, that will surprise you, and you'll find different perspectives that you've never thought existed there. And on the New York side as well, you're going to find people that you think you're supposed to be able to believe in that you can't believe in. So that's sort of where we're getting our stories from.
Well, people love a good conspiracy and trying to uncover it and pick it apart, but how hard is it to craft a conspiracy that is believable, but I guess, not anything that our government could actually do to us?
So what's really fun about this is that all we did was sort of read some newspapers, and we sort of figured out, one of the first things that we discovered was that there were over 100 private military contractors working in the Middle East right now.
In North Africa.
In North Africa. And that was the first thing we said, wait a minute, there's so many people who are hired soldiers in that region? I can't believe that. And then at the time, Blackwater was being investigated and all these things were happening. Suddenly it was like, wait a minute, here's the story right here. Here's the conspiracy right here. And suddenly it dawned on us that who's paying for all this? Well, they're the corporations that have business interests in all these different parts of the world. And there was the conspiracy that sort of laid out right in front of us. And so we just sort of wrote to what we saw.
Then who suggested the new title, American Odyssey? And did that seem like, oh, of course, it is the American Odyssey?
That was a network call the marketing people made to us and said, perhaps it would give the show a little bit more focus. It is about Americans. They are overseas, but it is an American Odyssey.
For sure.
It's the story of America. It's a story of our corporations. It's a story of our politics. It's a story about America.
Yeah, and honestly, as you watch the episodes, in the beginning, what you see is the fact that, she's put upon a lot. But eventually she starts to fight back. And so part of the campaign, they watched like 8 episodes or so, and they were like, wait a minute, she isn't just bound and gagged and tortured the whole time. She actually picks up a gun and she starts to fight back. And we said, of course she does. How else is she going to survive? And so they said, well, we're going to sort of, kind of change our marketing a little bit to sort of encompass the whole show. And we thought that was a great idea. So we were happy about it.
So for Anna's character, Sergeant Ballard, she develops a great relationship with Aslam, even though he is very reluctant because he doesn't want to help her, but at the same time he kind of feels sorry for her because he knows it's not her fault that she's in the situation.
Yeah.
So what can you sneak to us about their situation? What I've seen in the last episode, which is episode 2, she's taken, and he fights to go with her,
Yeah.
which I thought was so powerful.
Yeah.
So what can we look forward to seeing?
Oh my gosh.
What you can look forward to is a whole season with the two of them. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah, honestly, they do get separated, and then they reunite, which is
They
a
are
great
the
thing.
heart and soul of the show.
But they are absolutely, this relationship is the core of our show. And Aslam represents for us sort of the other perspective that's out there. He was a boy who was raised in a very conservative household by a father who was very strict.
He's going to have opinions that are very conservative.
Yeah.
And he's going to judge people around him. So we paint with a very big gray brush. We don't want anybody to be just single-minded.
Right. And so he's going to sort of grow as a character, and she's going to grow as a character too. She's going to see the world a little differently.
And by the way, even the people who are working against her, Odell Ballard, have reasons why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that it's a very complicated world. I think we're just trying to, shine a light on that. The Americans are not all good or bad. Muslims are not all good or bad. There's no way that you can look at the world and see anything but gray in the story. That's what we're
Yeah.
hoping for.
Yeah.
How did you develop Peter's character?
Yeah, Peter's character came from lots of conversations. We
Actually, it was Elliot Spitzer, I believe, was
yeah.
the inspiration.
It was the first inspiration was sort of an Elliot Spitzer without the sex scandal, right? But the idea was a U.S. attorney who was disgraced. And then what we did was we talked to a lot of Wall Street insiders. We talked to an actual guy who
worked in business intelligence.
Yeah, works in business intelligence.
We found out the kinds of things they did.
They actually call them trash men. And that's how they get information. Ultimately, he used to tell us a story about how they used to...
They'd wait for the trash.
Yeah, they'd go into a building, they'd sneak into a building, and then they'd mark trash bags where documents are fed before shredders.
Put a little X on them.
They put X's on the garbage bags. And then they'd sneak out, because they couldn't walk out with the big trash cans, trash bags. They went to the dump and found all the bags with the X's on them.
So once it leaves the property of the building,
It's anybody's.
it's anybody's.
Right.
Once it's in the hands of the trash
it was sort of
people.
like, so it was like
they literally could get it and put things back together.
Yeah.
It's like corporate espionage.
corporate espionage. And this guy said that, so that's how we got the name Trash Men. That story, but the idea of it is that they'd go on flights and they'd have a very pretty girl talking to a
This is a
business
great
CEO
story.
to sort of gain a little information. She flirted with him and she talked to him about his business, and suddenly she knew everything that the company was about to do. And that's how corporations work. And so we thought, this is a great character. We have to get a character involved in this kind of world. And so that's where the Peter character came from.
Now, I know that you all had a screening of the pilot in different cities all throughout the United
Yeah.
States, which was wonderful. I was actually
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
And
great.
it pulled on people's heartstrings. I could see it in the audience. I mean,
Yeah.
people came up, were just talking and just raving about it. Have you heard from the fans at different cities about their responses to the film? To the
show, yeah.
And how
Actually,
they differ
just-
between cities.
Actually, kind of slightly, not too much.
Yeah, not too much, actually.
We haven't.
Well, I mean,
I have to say that. Let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
I just have to say that night, because I went to the LA one too at the Grove, I was so stunned by the careers of the women who stood up that I was like in awe. It was like really spectacular. We had a pilot, we had a woman who got a Medal of Honor, we had all kinds of people, and it was just really very inspiring. So I come
Yeah.
from a military family. My father, my brother, and my mother were all in the military, so I was just really, really proud of that.
Yeah, and honestly, once we realized we were doing a story about a female soldier, we realized there's a whole pool of women out there, over 200,000 of them, who do not get the credit or the recognition. And in fact, because of that, because people don't look at women in that way, when they leave the service, they don't get the same benefits. They don't pursue the same
don't
benefits.
identify as former soldiers.
They don't self-identify about that. And we wanted to change that a little bit. We're saying, no, you know what? A woman soldier deserves to be in the same place the men are and absolutely deserve the same kind of recognition. So that was part of what we were doing.
Very cool evening.
Yeah, it was a great
really
evening.
nice.
Thank you so much, guys.
Really good.